Hey guys, sorry I've been gone so long. With the Christmas holiday, I just needed to take a break, spend some time with family, and regroup. Now I'm back. It's the new year, 2020, and we're heading into a new legislative session, and we've got some news. First item up is what you're looking at. You can see I've got a new logo here, Right to Garden. This is the name of our new bill going into this legislative session. I'm very excited about it. And you'll see that we've rebranded all of our social media according to this new title for the legislation. So that's kind of fun. Next video that I'll post will be my interview with Representative Alan Skilcorn, who is also one of our strong supporters, along with Rep. West and Rep. Villa, who I've already posted interviews with. Today I'm interviewing Andy Diaz, who, along with his family, has started Urban Acres in Peoria, Illinois, which is just about a food desert. This conversation with Andy went in a lot of different directions, and it's about a lot more than hoop houses, legislation, or any one particular thing. It's a conversation about heart and community and growing together and working together, and that X factor that comes out when we all row the boat in the same direction. It's pretty inspiring stuff. I hope you'll stick around for the whole interview. Thanks for stopping by. Here we go. Welcome to my YouTube channel, Andy. Thank you for joining me today. Can you give us a little background about yourself and Urban Acres for the listeners so they know, like, what is Urban Acres? Where are you? What are you doing?
So I'm a pretty much lifelong resident of the near north side of Peoria, Illinois. It's a mid-sized town halfway between Chicago and St. Louis, and I'm an urban gardener. And I don't know. I sometimes I throw in visionary because I try to envision what I want in my community. But I've got 4 little kids and a wonderful wife that all have gotten into the farming and being part of a family unit that gives back to our community.
How did Urban Acres get started? Can you tell me the story?
Yeah, so it started off, I was heading to church one day and we drove by my old childhood home and there was an excavator out front and a demolition order. And I texted my mom, did you know they're tearing down our old house? And no, and we didn't, and I started looking into it. But where we grew up, there was a bunch of houses that had been torn down. So I went in and saw that some of these houses were already, or some of these lots were already for sale. For $600, they were mine. So I picked them up with the intention that I was going to pick up where my childhood home was and the vacant lots surrounding that whole thing. And that area was 1 acre. And then we looked at the land where we farm at home and all the people in the community who are farming. And I said, there's acres and acres of land being farmed here in the North Valley or in any city, but for us, it was Urban Acres. When someone wants to do it, you have to give them the least amount of hoops because odds are they don't have a bunch of extra money, right? Or a bunch of extra time if they're trying to garden. So if there's something the legislature could do, like to help enable it more.
Yeah, remove obstacles.
Remove the obstacles.
Yeah.
Like, I say that about our city as well, is if someone's willing to invest in their community,
yeah,
let them do it. Like, take the risk.
Yeah.
So we started buying some of the vacant lots in our area. And
are there a lot of vacant lots in the north side of Peoria?
Yeah, I used to have a count. There's quite a few. Most of them are owned either by the city or the county because of taxes or liens that are put on them. Here in the North Valley, we are vacant. We have a 25% vacancy rate. So that can be either a vacant house or a vacant lot.
What's the access to fresh food around here?
So it's not quite a food desert. We do have a small international grocer who's got a produce section. It's just one of those produce coolers where you find grapes and stuff at, usually like, at the main grocery store.
Yeah.
But he knows his demographic. This area is between 20 and 25% Latino. So he carries cilantro, avocados, limes, like all the stuff that a Mexican needs to make salsa. That's what he's got.
Okay.
And then he does have like the Mexican cheese and all that, but it's not a full-fledged grocery store. But you're not going to do all your shopping at his store.
How close would you say like a full-fledged
So the
market would be from here?
it's about 10 to 15 minutes away.
Okay.
It's not a horrible thing, but in a city where, or in an area where maybe you don't have reliable transportation, you have to get a ride from a neighbor, or you have to ride the bus.
Right.
That's a 2-hour ordeal because you have to take the bus downtown to the transit center,
Yeah.
get off there, get on another one, time it all out.
Yeah. So when you purchased your original lots after you saw that your childhood home was on the market, was it always your plan to grow food on it?
Yes, that was the first intent, because at about that same time, there was a local mega chain grocery store. I don't throw them under the bus. I understand, so I don't say their name, but they pulled out of our neighborhood where they were just at the top of the hill, as well as the south end of Peoria.
Okay.
The two lowest income zip codes in our area, and in some numbers throughout the state.
Yeah.
So they pulled out of those areas. It just wasn't profitable for them. A lot of people try to throw shade at why they wasn't profitable.
Right.
And there was an outcry. Like, people were totally just aghast. And I looked at it as an opportunity that we could do some of the farming, that we could start entrepreneurs doing more down here.
Right here. How did you get this idea that you should start growing food?
I'm crazy.
But tell me the story. You said your dad he had experience.
Yeah, so
farming.
I'm an optimist, right? Like, if you work your tail off, you can make things happen. And so my grandpa sold my dad to another guy during the growing season to go and live at his house. The man, housed my dad, fed him and all that. But my dad stayed with him when he was 6 years old to go farm sweet potatoes and peanuts. And my dad comes from a family of 11. Like, that was what you did in Mexico to survive.
Okay.
And so since my dad has been 6, he has been farming something.
Okay.
When he came to this country, he didn't have a lot of money, but he knew how to grow stuff, and that was something to him that is a pastime, like, a fun thing.
Yeah.
So ever since I can remember, we have had a huge garden wherever we've lived. First of all, as a Latino in Central Illinois in the 70s and 80s, there wasn't a place that you're going to go find tomatillos or jalapenos like you just couldn't, right?
Yeah.
Like, even today, there are still certain things you have to go to the Mexican store for.
Yeah.
Because they don't carry them in your normal chain grocery stores. I do believe that we have to take a new approach to getting change in our neighborhoods. And
So when you say change, it sounds like you might be talking about more than just food, yeah?
Yeah, I mean, it's so we bought the building that we're doing this interview in with the whole idea that our original plan was to have just the urban acres and a little farm stand across from a park selling tacos and produce during the summer and calling it a day. And thinking that's the kind of stuff that people down here want. When we approached the city about it, we had the highest leadership of the city staff, question our motives, our intellect, our economics.
Okay, hold on a second here. So are you telling me that this whole endeavor has not gained huge support from your municipal government?
No.
It has
From
not?
our local people love it, right? From the local government standpoint, because I'm not the multimillionaire pulling in millions of dollars in tax subsidy, we're small potatoes, especially in this community where we are a lot. we're 25% Latino or mixed, 30% white, 40% African American.
Okay.
So we are like a Benetton commercial, right? Like we have a little bit of everything. So it's not about um, making just another Mexican store.
Yeah.
It's about making a store where you know African American people or Asian, like we grew bok choy, um, because there are people in this community, of the Asian persuasion that said, oh, if you grow that, we'll come buy it.
So tell me how you got from I want to grow food with my dad on this land that we got to this building that we're sitting in.
To prove the city wrong, like to prove people wrong. Like this is the lengths I will go through.
What were the primary obstacles that you encountered in dealing with the city of Peoria in terms of this project for Urban Acres? Can you describe some of those obstacles?
So we were going after some of the vacant land in our neighborhood, and there is some land that's owned by the county and some land that's owned by the city.
Okay.
And the county will take your money whenever you want to write them a check and give you land.
Okay.
The city, on the other hand, chooses who they want to give land to and doesn't believe that a Latino living in the poor part of town is smart enough or has the finances to go through and help change his neighborhood.
Is that a guess, Andy? Or
No.
do you have
Our
any...
director of community development wrote an email to every city council member to let them know that I didn't have the capability of doing development because apparently I'm not smart enough or I don't have the economic resources to do it when the man knows nothing about my economics or my intellect.
I see.
After a 2-hour meeting, he wrote that as his justification to turn me down from buying land from the city.
So as we stand today, in December 2019, there are certain lots in the city of Peoria which you are barred from purchasing?
Yeah.
Is that correct?
Well, I want to be, watch my terms. It's not that I'm barred. It's that we have bigotry in the city of Peoria. And as a Latino, they have not given me, they will not sell to me land. Long story short, I've gone to our Equal Employment Commission, Equal Opportunity Commission, I've been told to call the Justice Department to bring in, like the racial help hotline. But I look at it and to me, right, I've talked to lawyers. The $600 that I wanted to spend on a lot just gave me that fire to go spend more money on a building. And it had to happen, right? For as much as I may dislike the community development director because he's a bigot, it drove me and it put me into a place where I was going to show them wrong.
So what developed from all of the produce that you had? Was it just you and your family that ate it?
No,
What
so
happened?
we were selling it out of the garden. Like we'd put it up on Facebook. We'll be at the garden today from noon to 4. Stop by and buy produce.
Yep.
I'd go out in front of the house and set up a table. But that whole intent was to have a little farm stand across from a park in the neighborhood.
Yeah.
Now, when that blew up, like I said, it had to happen.
Okay.
This year, we ended up with over 1,500 pounds of produce.
Wow.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
You can't can, steam, bag, freeze enough with that much produce.
Okay. So did you start sharing it or
we were
selling
trying
it,
to
or?
sell it and share it, and the farm stand wasn't going to work where we were trying. And one night, I saw a for sale sign go up in front of this building. I drive this neighborhood, or I'll walk this neighborhood during the day to figure out what's next, right? To run into a neighbor and say, what else are we lacking? What would you go to, right? And to know the neighbors, and I always say it's what we want as a neighborhood. And we wanted a place where you could buy and sell stuff. So when I saw this for sale sign, it was a sign from God that said, hey, the city had to deny you so you didn't have all your money tied up in trying to build a farm stand.
So what did you do with this building when you got it?
So we immediately, after we closed on a Friday, and I think it was that next Saturday, we had our first Medicado. We brought all the produce out of the garden. I called up a couple of people I knew. A lady at work said, hey, my sister sells tie-dye t-shirts. Can she come down? And I told this to Jacob. In my neighborhood, if you would have told me some lady's gonna come sell tie-dye t-shirts, I'd have said she's gonna make about $10 and never come back. That woman has made more money than anybody else in the
really?
Mercado. Like, God bless her. She makes cool shirts. Like, my kids are her biggest fan.
Oh, cool.
And
This is it must be having a broader impact in the community than simply access to food.
Yeah, it's
What
access
do you
to everything, right? Like,
yeah, tell me.
Peoria is an area that we are like every other mid-sized community. The box stores are closing up because it's easier and cheaper to go to Amazon or buy online and all that. The malls are, getting decimated, and but people still want to be able to go touch and buy stuff. And there are certain things that you just can't outsource. The woman who sells wind chimes and Christmas crafts, that stuff you can't. Etsy and all that stuff is great. But sometimes you need to see that product.
Yeah.
So there's a woman here in the neighborhood that she makes these wind chimes and lights and Christmas stuff and director's chairs. Like, it's all season stuff. But when she heard she knew I was doing the garden. She's right behind the garden. So when the neighbor lady from when I was a kid, her daughter's my age, she knows me, right? She knows where my heart is, what my intentions are.
Right.
She sees me doing the garden and selling off produce and giving it away and everything else.
Yeah.
She's like, Andy, I want to support you.
Yeah.
And I make all this stuff and sell it online. And she goes to craft shows and all that. She wanted a more regular place.
Yeah.
So she was one of the first vendors that first weekend that we were open.
Oh, was she? Okay.
She gave me all kinds of just help, right? Like, hey, Andy,
Yeah.
one of the other guys has their truck parked there. Why don't we have him move it over here so that as people are driving by, they can see the stuff for sale.
Yeah.
Now, it's not something I didn't know, but I was moving in 10 different directions that day to set up my booth and get produce down on the table and all that.
Yeah.
Like, she was helpful.
Yeah.
She was kind and coaching and like helped us have a successful first year of the market. But it's those kind of things that local entrepreneurs then have a reach far bigger than even my community.
Yeah.
Right? We have a bus stop here at the corner. So people are coming, they're waiting for the bus. They see that we're selling produce and we had a taco stand and all this. They would shop for the few minutes before the bus came by. Sometimes they'd walk away with something, sometimes just lunch, sometimes nothing. But then the next Saturday they'd come back. So you had the local people shopping here. And then like this woman and the t-shirt lady and my folks and my friends and family, we put it out on Facebook. Hey, the market is this weekend. They are coming from Washington, which is a 15-minute drive across the river. They're coming from Metamora. They're coming from Dunlap. People from throughout the community are coming because it's something different.
Yeah.
Like, I want to feed people because that's in my heart. Like, you see me. I'm a big boy. I break bread. I will break bread with anybody because when we have meals together and can sit down across from a table and talk, we learn about each other. We actually tell stories to each other.
Yeah.
And can grow as community.
Yeah.
So, and that's what this market is. My goal is to have a place where community gathers. The room that we're in now is, soon or hopefully will be a commissary where we can bring kids from the neighborhood school that's 4 blocks down the street to teach them how to make a healthy meal. Maybe at Christmas there's some grandmas in the city that want to just come bake cookies so that the kids can pick up a bag of cookies on their way home before Christmas break. I don't know.
Yeah.
But that's the kind of stuff I envision.
You have ideas.
I have ideas
Yeah.
for.
Our kids did a Saturday morning garden stand largely because our oldest was super, super, super shy, and our youngest refused to learn subtraction. And so I thought, well, we're doing this garden. If I have her have to make change, she'll have to learn subtraction. And if he has to work with customers, he just is going to have to get over this shyness. And it was the same kind of like, if you build it, they will. People started. I met more neighbors on those Saturday mornings, just 3 hours doing a garden stand, than in 15 years prior living
Isn't that
at
crazy?
the house. And something happens. They just see you doing something good, and people are like, "What you doing there? Like, what's going on?" You know, like, and it's wholesome and it's good, and you can't duplicate that on Amazon.
No.
You can't duplicate it through a digital transaction. There's a personal component.
It gives me a chill to think about it. Because what you just said
Yeah.
is so true. People see someone else doing good and they want to be a part of that. Right?
Yeah.
Like what we see on the internet is I want to tear you apart because I don't have to look at you in the face and I control you and call you names. But when you're people sitting and talking to each other in civilized society,
Yeah.
you mirror those actions of the people doing that. So when someone's doing good, you want to go mirror that. You want to do good.
Yeah.
And we're the same way. Like there was some neighbors, an apartment building behind the farm, and this old man comes out one day and he goes, "Hey, just want to let you know, I missed a deer by this much last night," because he's got a bow and arrow. He's a bow hunter, and
He's gonna take out
he
that
was
deer
going to
for
take
you?
out a deer because you see we don't have fences up there, right? The deer were coming in and eating all the sweet potatoes. So like we have not gotten a sweet potato out of that garden to
Oh,
save
really?
my life, because the deer come and eat the runners.
Yeah.
But you know, like I had never met him before. He's been down there in that apartment for like 15 years.
Yeah. And now you made a connection.
Now I made a connection.
Yeah, that's cool.
And he's watching out for the place.
I heard that you donate food, but you also sell food.
Yeah.
I'm interested to know more details about that.
So my first goal is to move the produce to the market. There is something to be said of somebody buying tomatoes. As we were walking the neighborhood today, you heard the woman, one of the neighbors, as we stopped and
Oh, the
talked.
green tomatoes?
The green
Yeah.
tomatoes, right? She is buying produce, freezing it, and saving it and using it. And something that I've talked with other farmers and urban farmers about, and even food pantry folks, is when they are gifted and given a bunch of produce and they're just willy-nilly giving it away, it goes to waste. More often than not, people, if they're not selecting it, if they're not saying, I know how to use an eggplant or hell, even as something as simple as a tomato.
It's a sense of value.
Yeah, so we try to sell it here first. But I don't want to see anything go to waste.
Okay.
So if on a Saturday when we finish up at the market, we still have a bunch of squash or tomatoes or whatever else, my church has the food pantry that happens a couple times a month. My folks' church has a food pantry that happens a couple times a month. We've got some food pantries and things down here.
Okay.
But we make it a point to get that produce into the hands of people at all costs.
So you harvest for your family,
And we harvest
then
for
you
our
bring
family.
to the mercado,
hmm
and then you donate the rest.
Yeah.
And that's like on a weekly basis? You do
So
that every week?
from Memorial Day to Labor Day,
Okay.
we, will have this market set up. The mercado will be here on Saturdays.
Okay.
And then, during the week, if we find that we have a bunch of extra stuff, that's where we make salsa. We freeze it,
Yeah.
But our goal is that on Saturday mornings we have the best harvest, And, Friday night, Saturday morning, we go out, harvest everything, come here with the freshest produce. When you go to any other farmer's market, you'll never hear another farmer's market person say, yeah, the produce was grown a block from here.
Right.
You'll have them, this was all within 10 miles, 100 miles,
100
whatever.
100 miles.
But this is true local produce.
Right. That's very cool. Okay, let's talk about those shoulder seasons. What about hoop houses for you?
I consider it more as a great place to start stuff, especially those cold weather crops that you can't get spinach in the middle of the summer here, or even getting like the broccoli and things like that started. So I showed you the two newest acquisitions this year. The lots across from our house.
Yeah.
That is where I would do a hoop house because and it sounds crazy and maybe a little lazy. The garden is 2.5 blocks from my house.
Yeah. Oh no.
But 2.5 blocks.
No.
When you're in the it was a beautiful day. We walked the neighborhood.
I totally agree with you.
No problem.
I totally agree.
My wife got mad that this year I only grew cherry tomatoes at the house because I had 100 tomato plants at the garden.
Yeah.
And she goes, I want a place where I can walk outside when I'm making lunch for the kids or dinner.
And grab what you want.
And grab what I want. I don't want to have to walk over there because what am I going to do with the baby?
She's right. Moms together. Moms unite. She's right. I put the
supposed to be on my side.
No. You are the grower, so I'm with you already. I'm just telling you to grow it where your wife says to grow it.
Yeah.
Because right outside your back door, that's where I started with my little 4-foot by 4-foot bed in 2013. With lettuce, because I had trouble, all the greens you buy at the store, because they're already a week old, they're slimy in 2 days, and you're like, oh, I just went to the store, I don't want. So I put the lettuce right outside the kitchen door for sandwiches and salads and whatever, and it makes a huge difference. Get it?
That will be on the newest property. That's where I could foresee
now,
hoop
do you
houses.
know if you have any restrictions in Peoria?
We do. It can't be more than 10% of the property, I think it is. I first learned about you way before you even reached out through the Strong Town stuff. So we didn't stop and look at her garden because the way we went.
Okay.
But there's another woman who does some urban gardening, and she had heard about it because she's going through the U of I Master Gardener program, and it got brought up of hoop houses, and
really. So
she had shared it on social media. Here already.
That's interesting.
So I had seen it, and it was interesting, right? I was like, God, this lady's getting screwed over by her community. But I was like, that's what made me go read some of our rules, right? So in the city of Peoria, and this is only in the last 5 years, I think, that they have allowed 5 to 7 years that they've allowed urban gardens.
Okay.
Because of the amount of vacant land that we have.
Right. It's a useful thing to do if you have,
But it's weird the things that we allow on an urban garden versus what we would allow on a house, right? They will allow a fence up to the fence line, or up to the property line, up to any size, around a garden. Mm-hmm. But if I go and try to put a 4-foot fence on my house, I'll get written up because the code only allows a 3-foot fence.
In our situation, it's supposed to be that membrane structures are not permitted. Anything with a membrane is not permitted. The issue is that's written in the permanent building code, and hoop houses are not permanent buildings, are they?
No.
So then when you drive around town, you see membrane structures all over the place, even ones they've written permits for. So if they're writing permits for them, how is it that they are not permitted? Right?
The world is changing.
Right.
And whether it be because of Amazon or because of the internet or because of the economics of today, we have to evolve and change with it.
What would you say? Could you give a nugget of what people could do or something that might inspire them to take action in their own region, in their own city? What would you want to say to people?
I wish I had an inspirational word to get someone off the couch and go do something. But it really is. It's give a crap about something and fight for it.
Yeah.
Because too often we see when you watch the news or if you follow your local politics, it's the same 4 or 5 people you hear about, right? And that person who's going from the farmers meeting to the NAACP meeting to the neighborhood meeting, those are all great people. But 4 people shouldn't carry your town, your village, your country, right? When we look at politics or life as a whole, we follow the 6 people's tweets of the moment. But be different. Go off and make some change that you can do yourself. And it sounds horrible, but leave some of that other stuff to other people. Figure out what your lane is and be in that lane.
Yeah, that's great.
But when it comes to what can you buy local that's produced locally, I'm all about it. I want to go find that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And I want to eat local, and I want to find those jobs that can't be outsourced.
Yeah.
I'm spending a lion's share of my money here locally when we buy local art,
Right.
local services.
Right.
Well, everybody
Approach.
thinks you need $1 billion or these mega investments.
Right.
So I walked you around our neighborhood a little bit.
Yeah.
If we started saying no, that we need to have million and $billion investments or multi-million-dollar investments,
Yeah.
it would change our neighborhood. It wouldn't be the neighborhood that I want to live in.
Right.
I love the fact that I can walk down the street and talk to my neighbor and she's sitting on the front porch
Right.
hanging out, and
So you're
we've
looking
lived in
for
the
an
suburbs.
organic
Yeah,
kind of growth, an organic growth that is natural to
our neighborhood.
your neighborhood, the needs of these constituents and residents. And
They don't need to be pushed to another place. We've got plenty of affordable housing. Like, we just need the mixed economic portfolio, if you will. But we need to have a thriving Black community, right? A place where people know, like, there is culture there too.
Yeah.
And we don't allow that to happen in this community. I am not, as you can see, I'm not a Black guy, but I am comfortable going to a Black club or to a Black business. There may be some people in this community who they just don't know, right? I had a coworker come up and ask me, "Hey, can we go to that place? You want to go to lunch at this one place?" And it's a wing place on the south end of town that's a Black-owned business. And I said, "I can't go today. Are you going?" "Yeah, I wasn't sure if it's the kind of place that I can go." And I was like, "Dude, you can go anywhere. This is not like." He's like, "Well, no, but I mean, where it's at, is it like, would I be looked at weird?"
I think freedom is something people really, I'm not joking here. I think we have an impaired sense of liberty. I mean, definitely the municipal governments don't understand what our liberty is,
Yeah.
like for sure. And I think per this example, a lot of people don't understand what their own liberty is. Like these projects, the one you're doing, what I'm trying to do, what we're trying to do, I think it all stems for that. Like if we're not free, what do we have?
Yeah.
Like what else is there?
And I think part of it, like, that's what I like about My Mercado, right? Like, I've got Black vendors, white vendors.
Yeah, everything.
Everything.
And
we are pulling in Black, white, brown people, yellow people,
Yeah.
that's not what we are pulling in people, everybody.
Yeah.
And they're realizing, right? This is not just a place for Mexican people to come shop or
Right.
just a place for Black people to come shop.
I think that's a great message to wrap it up with.
Thank you very much.
Your wife is going to be mad at me. Outcast lunch. Do you mind if I come back in the spring to see
No,
your
not at
place
all.
when it's, or maybe early summer when it's hopping?
Yeah, not at all.
I would love to. Our communities are very different, but they are both served by supporting people's freedom to grow food, right? So the legislators need to see that from as many people as possible. Thank you, Andy, very much for letting me chat with you this long. I really appreciate it.
Thank you very much for coming down and seeing what we got.
All right, take care.